Chris Graham here for Trailblazer RV. We're going to take you through a new RV orientation on this 2012 Crossroads RV Zinger 320RE. Starting here at the front of the trailer, where we've got dual 30-pound propane tanks. Both of these are full right now, and this is an automatic switchover propane regulator. So you can see right now it's pointing at this tank that makes this the supply tank and this the reserve. And the sight glass here is showing red, meaning there's no propane flowing. But as I open the valve, that sight glass changes from red to clear to show that there's propane flowing from the supply bottle. As long as you have the valves on both bottles open, this regulator will deplete the supply bottle first. Once it's empty, it'll start to pull from the reserve bottle, and when that happens, this sight glass will show red again. At that time, you can switch the regulator over to the other bottle, remove the first bottle to go and refill it without ever shutting down your propane system. Behind the propane bottles is your battery. It's a 12-volt deep cycle RV battery. And on this battery, you have a black and a white lead. When you have black and white in an RV, black is positive. So black to the positive, white to the negative. It's a maintenance battery, so we recommend a couple of times a year, pop these caps off and check the fluid level in the cells below those caps. If it looks a little bit low, or if you can see metal plates sticking through the fluid, just top it up with some distilled water and put a good charge on the battery. I also recommend removing the battery for winter storage. So take it off the RV, store it indoors, somewhere where it's not going to freeze, and if possible, put a trickle charge on the battery once or twice over the course of the off-season. Here you've got your pass-through front storage compartment. The cap right inside here is for your fresh water drain, which you'll find right underneath. So put that cap on to fill up your fresh tank. You'll fill the fresh tank from right here. So this is a gravity fill right into the tank. We recommend using one of those white non-toxic drinking water hoses for that, so you don't get that plasticky taste in your fresh water. Here you've got power front and rear stabilizing jacks. So just press and hold the extend button to extend the jack all the way to the ground. It runs off a single motor, so both legs will come down. Once they've touched the ground, they'll equalize and then take a little bit of weight up with the jacks, but they're not designed to lift the RV. So just nice and snug with the ground to take some of the side-to-side movement out of the RV. Right here is your outside shower. Pretty simple. It's got hot and cold taps in it, and the shower head will come up to about this height. Your city water connection is here. So if you're parked at a site with water hookups, rather than filling your freshwater tank, you can hook your hose right up to here and pressurize the RV from the source. If you're going to hook into city water, we recommend using a water pressure regulator, just a brass piece about that big, goes on the end of your hose to maintain proper operating pressure in the system and not over pressurize your water lines. Right here is where you'll dump your sewer and your gray water holding tanks. So we supply a new 20-foot medium heavy-duty sewer hose. It's stored in the rear bumper right now. When you go to dump your tanks, hook the hose onto here. Other end goes into the ground. Always pull the larger valve first. This is your black water, your sewer. Once that's finished draining, you can close it and pull the smaller valve. That's your gray water. So you use your sink and shower water to kind of flush the black contents through the hose. Once you've dumped your holding tanks, close both valves, you can remove the hose, rinse it, and put it back in the rear bumper. Your hot water tank is right here. This is a 10-gallon Atwood hot water tank. So this tank doesn't require an anode rod like other types of hot water tank. So your plug is just this little white plastic plug here. That's what you'll pull to drain the tank in the winter. Before you pull that plug, make sure to use the pressure relief valve to bleed the pressure off of the system so that the tank doesn't spray when you pull that plug. It's a direct spark ignition tank, so no pilot lights or anything out here to worry about. It's all electronic ignition. Same with your furnace, no pilot lights or anything. This is the furnace exhaust, and just remember that it gets very hot, so if you've got young kids around the trailer, make sure that they know to stay away from that. Your running gear, your tires are inflated to 65 psi, and we do recommend running them right at 65 psi. That's stamped right here on the sidewall of the tire. And your lug nuts have been torqued to 100 foot-pounds. We recommend periodic retorquing of your lug nuts, as well as repacking of your wheel bearings. This one, if you pop this center cap off of here, I believe that would expose a grease zerk that you can grease your wheel bearings with a grease gun. Now that doesn't eliminate the need to repack wheel bearings, but it does prolong the intervals. So instead of repacking wheel bearings every year, maybe you could repack wheel bearings every 3 or 4 years. Here at the back of the trailer is where your power cord is stowed. It's a 30 amp power cord, and a lot of the sites you visit will have 30 amp power available. For those that don't, we supply a 15 amp park adapter as well. So hook that onto the end of the cord to plug into a regular 15 amp household power service. Rear stabilizer jacks, same as the front. These were damaged on the RV, so we've replaced these. This is a brand new set of rear stabilizer jacks. Spare tire is mounted here on the back of the trailer. It's important to note that RVs don't come with a jack or a wheel wrench. So you'll want to just check and make sure that you have a wrench with you that fits these wheel nuts, just in case you need to change a tire on the fly. Ladder here on the back. It's a walkable roof, and we do recommend getting up on the roof once or twice a year just to visually inspect your roof seals. Just make sure that if you do need to reseal something, you use the proper roof sealants, which you can get from our service department. There's specific sealants that are designed to work with the rubber roof membrane. You've got a couple of these little grommets on the outside of the trailer. What those are for is to manually crank your slide outs in should you ever need to. If you ever had a power failure or a motor go down on a slide out, you can manually crank your slides using these manual overrides. For your entry door step, the whole step rolls and then flips. So flip and roll. And at your front storage compartment, find just a light there for lighting the storage compartment. We didn't show it on the other side, but you can see from here the removable access panel. That's where you'll access your water pump for winterizing. If you want to pump antifreeze through the RV, you can access your water pump there to attach your siphon line into your jug of antifreeze. We'll demonstrate the awning. The awning operates from just inside the door. Right here. So if you just press and hold the extend awning button, the awning extends a full 8 feet, and it's height adjustable. So once the awning is extended, you can use these adjustments to lower either side. So just pull that down and tighten the tensioner to lower one side down so you can control where the rainwater drains off. Before you retract the awning, you'll want to just extend those back up to the full height to ensure that the canvas rolls up straight on the roller tube. And here, just inside the door, there's a couple more switches here. These are for your slide out rooms. So to extend the slide, just press and hold the out button. Both slides are 3 feet deep, or 36 inches, and they're both flush floor slides. So as this reaches its full extension, it should make a flush transition with the floor. And when you hear that ratcheting sound, you know that the slide is fully extended. Should be the same thing with this one. Also here by the entry door is where you'll find your monitor panel. So you can check the level of your battery, which you can see is good right now. Fresh tank is completely empty. Black tank is empty, and gray tank is empty. You can also activate your water pump. If you're pumping from your freshwater tank, you'll need to have that on. And you can activate your hot water heater on both electricity if you're plugged into 110 volt power, or gas if you're not plugged into 110 volt power. And I don't know if you could hear it there in the video, but the burner for that hot water tank just fired up. It'll take 20 or 25 minutes to heat up that hot water tank, but once it comes to temperature, the burner will go out and you can just leave that switch turned on the whole time. Here in the kitchen, you've got an automatic gas electric fridge here. So it can run on propane or electricity. What we recommend is just switching it over to the automatic setting. If it has electricity available, it'll always run on that. If it doesn't, like right now, it'll sense that and it'll light the gas. You can override the automatic to only run on gas. And you might find that the fridge cools down a little bit faster on gas than it does on electricity. Now, having said that, it takes several hours to cool an RV fridge down, and so we recommend getting the fridge running the day before you load up, just so that it's nice and cold by the time you load your food into it. This one has a temperature adjustment, 1 being the warmest, 5 being the coldest. I usually set it at 3 or 4, but depending on ambient conditions, you might find you need to adjust that occasionally. Your stovetop, all 3 of your burners work with the piezo sparker. There we go. And I always recommend, anytime you replace a propane tank or have your propane system disconnected for any reason, first thing you should do is come to the stove, turn on all 3 burners, and just light all 3 burners. Once you've been able to light all 3 burners, you know you've bled the air off of the propane system, and your automatic appliances like your fridge, hot water tank, and furnace will have no problem lighting. The only pilot light that you have in the RV is down here for the oven. And to light the pilot, you'll turn the oven knob over to pilot on, push in on that knob, and while holding in on the knob, you'll light your pilot right here. Once you can see the flame, continue to hold in on the knob for 10 or 15 seconds for that flame sensor to warm up, and then you can turn the oven up to temperature. Once you're finished using the oven, you can turn the knob back to pilot on and just leave that pilot burning, or you can turn it all the way off and relight the oven next time you need it. Also here in your kitchen is your GFI power outlet. So this is just like the outlets in the bathroom in your home with a test and reset button on it. The only difference in an RV is this outlet is wired in series with all of your other outlets. So if you're ever plugged into power and trying to figure out why you've got no power from your power outlets, come over here, press the reset button, it'll reset the whole system. Here at the back is where you'll find your stereo system. Stereo system works on 12-volt power, so you don't need to be plugged into power for this. It's AM, FM, CD, and auxiliary stereo system. And you do have two different zones for your speakers as well. Zone A, Zone B, and both. So just ensure that if you're listening to music inside, that you only have the interior zone on. Otherwise, everybody on the outside of the trailer is listening to the same music as you. This one has the pop-up TV for the entertainment center. It has a little release here in the cabinet. So just press that button to extend the TV. When you're finished using the TV, you'll just manually push that down to reset it. There should be a couple of safety features here. Down here is your propane / carbon monoxide detector. So this will do three things. It'll alert you to a potential propane leak, but if that is the case, you'll almost certainly smell the propane before the detector goes off. It can also alert you to carbon monoxide, in which case you would not smell anything before the detector goes off. And the third and most common thing that it does is alert you to low voltage. This is wired into the RV's 12-volt electrical system. So if your RV battery gets very low, it will chime just to alert you to the low voltage. At which point you can plug in the RV to charge the battery, hook it up to a vehicle to charge the battery, or put a battery charger on the front RV battery. Right here is your thermostat. So this controls both your heating and air conditioning for the RV. In the fan setting, you've got automatic, high, or low. So that is in regards to the air conditioning fan. The furnace fan only has one speed, but the air conditioning fan has two speeds. Recommendation is to always leave this in automatic. If you've got it in high or low fan speed, when you're in the furnace mode, the furnace will come on, but the air conditioning fan will also come on, and it can be confusing to people. So always leave the fan setting in automatic rather than high or low, unless you specifically want to operate the fan on high or low fan speed. You can toggle between fan and cool. These two settings, you need to be plugged into power to operate. That fan works on 110 volt power. The furnace, though, will work on 12 volt power. If we turn that all the way up to 32 degrees Celsius, we should hear the furnace fan kick in, as we just did. The furnace is located right under here. The fan comes on and is just going to run for 10 or 15 seconds before we actually hear that burner light up. There it goes. So now if we give it a few seconds, we'll have warm air blowing from our floor registers. Once the system comes up to temperature, exactly the same thing, only the opposite. So if I turn off the system to simulate that, the burner goes out of the furnace immediately, but the fan is still going to run for another 30 seconds to a minute, just to go through its cycle before it shuts down. So remember, the air conditioning and the fan, you need to be plugged into power for. The other items in the RV that need power hookups, your power outlets, your microwave, your air conditioner, and your rear TV. Those are the things that need to be plugged into power to operate. Here in the bathroom, you've got another GFI power outlet here. So likely you have two completely separate GFI power systems. If you're ever not having power from your power outlets, make sure you check both. The RV sewer system, anytime you're using your RV sewer system, you're going to want to use a good potent RV toilet chemical. It's available in powder, liquid, or tablet form. Any of the three will work just fine. When you go to add chemical, put the chemical into the toilet bowl, push halfway down on the pedal to fill the bowl with water, and then the rest of the way to dump everything down into the tank. The chemical needs some water to activate it. So make sure every time you add toilet chemical, you put some water down with it. And you'll want to add toilet chemical immediately following every time you dump your black holding tank. So finish dumping your tank, come in here, add some chemical, should be good until the next time you have to dump your tanks. I'll get to the converter here. Your power converter, located right here in the hallway. This is the power center for the entire trailer. This is where you'll find all of your breakers for your 110 volt circuits and all of your fuses for your 12 volt circuits. You've got primarily 15 amp fuses here, but you've also got a couple of 40s, so not a bad idea to have some spare fuses with you. It's not uncommon in an RV to blow a fuse. If you've got some spare 15 and 40 amp fuses, it won't be a big deal if you need to change one out at the campsite. This converter can make a little bit of a humming or a buzzing sound sometimes. It's perfectly normal. It's just the cooling system in the converter when it's operating under high load. And here in the bedroom, TV bracket already mounted on the wall there, and you've got 110 volt and 12 volt hookups up in the roof. Make sure that the pocket door is latched when you're traveling, either latched open or closed, but don't let it slide back and forth when you're traveling. And the bed lifts up for some storage underneath. I think for the most part that's covered everything. Hopefully you learned something about the Crossroads Zinger 320RE. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of us here at Trailblazer, or you can check our website, trailblazerrv.com. Thank you.